Welcome to Luneburg. All right, we finally made it to this beautiful Hanseatic city, a pearl of northern Germany. All right, so let's go explore it. In today's video, we're exploring Luneburg, one of northern Germany's most charming medieval towns, where history, legends, and a little salt have shaped everything you see. We'll start at the Salt Museum.
Salt miner. I'm a salt miner.
Uncovering the story that made Luneburg one of the richest cities in the Hanseatic League. Then we're climbing to the top of the water tower for breathtaking views over red rooftops and church spires. Inside St. John's Church, we'll admire centuries-old craftsmanship and share the quirky legend behind its leaning tower. Along the way, we'll also discover the mysterious tale of the salt pig. We'll refuel with a delicious, budget-friendly lunch before heading to the historic wooden crane and wandering the beautiful riverfront neighborhood where half-timbered houses reflect in the water. We'll step inside St. Nickolai Church, visit the impressive Rathaus, see the curious pregnant house, and take you to a hidden, off-the-beaten-path spot where a centuries-old Cannonball is still lodged in a wall. If you've never thought about visiting northern Germany, this might just change your mind. Let's explore Luneburg together. So Luneburg became a very wealthy city in the Middle Ages because of salt. They have a lot of salt underneath, and they did a lot of salt mining. And so here they have the German Salt Museum. And anything you ever wanted to learn about the mining, the use, the production of salt, you're going to find it in there. They have tons of information. It's €8 per adult to go inside. They have audio guides that are €2. And the audio guides can be programmed in English, so you can get some information in English. But inside itself, the information plackets and things are only in German. So if you don't understand German, you're going to have to get the English audio guide to understand what's going on. But I tell you, if you're interested in how salt was mined and how it was used, then you need to go to the German Salt Museum. And it's interesting, you know, you think about, like today we think about how salt, okay, yeah, it's a nice seasoning and things like that. But back then it was really crucial for life because they didn't have refrigeration. So to preserve food and things like that, they had to salt it down. So salt was vitally important during those days. And that's why Luneburg got so rich, because they had salt and it was used for basically so many different things, but to preserve food, probably most importantly. So there you go, German Salt Museum here in Luneburg. I just went up to the top of the water tower here in Luneburg, and it was €6 per adult. And they have an elevator, or you can climb the stairs. Obviously the elevator is quicker and easier. I don't know how many stairs it was, but it was not difficult. And I recommend the stairs, especially, if you're reasonably fit and mobile, because it's not difficult. And basically every level, they have a different display of how the water tower works. And it's actually pretty interesting. And they have some hands-on activities, and they have some models. So it's really interesting for kids. So if you have children and you're in Luneburg, I recommend you bringing them to the water tower and let them climb up. They're going to burn some energy, and they have a lot of hands-on activities and a lot of educational things. And there's information in English as well. So I thought it was interesting. And then at the top, so the only, I guess, difficult section, the last 10 meters or so, is kind of a narrow spiral staircase. So that's the only difficult part. But once you get up there, the views over the city are outstanding. 360-degree views. You can see everything for miles and miles. And I thought the views were really nice. It was very windy up there. So I almost lost my hat, actually. My hat blew off, and luckily it didn't go off the tower. It stayed on the tower. But very, very windy up at the top. there's been people have weddings here. I guess there was on average 2 weddings a day, and there was a bride, the bridal suite, I guess bridal company, whatever you call it. They were coming down the stairs as I was going up. So there's already been 1 wedding here today. I guess there's probably going to be another one. But anyway, when you're in Luneburg, you got to come over to the water tower and at least take the elevator up to see the views. But I recommend stopping at the stations and get the information and the hands-on activities. A really cool thing about Luneburg is that, unlike a lot of the other places here in Germany, in northern Germany, is that it didn't receive a lot of damage during World War II. And we just went inside the St. Johannes Church, this beautiful red brick Gothic church that's on the official Northern European Gothic brick Gothic church trail. This church was built between, I think it was 1289 and 1470, and it's pretty much all original. Hasn't been destroyed, and it is spectacular inside. Has a beautiful organ, very detailed, just spectacular. And something really cool about this church is that Johann Sebastian Bach composed his first pieces here at this church. So spectacularly beautiful. It doesn't cost anything to go inside. They do ask for a €1 donation. Definitely worth €1 to go in there, take a walk around. And there is they have printed guides in many different languages. So they're laminated, pick it up, walk around the church, and then turn it back in before you leave. Very handy. And so, I don't know, I think pretty much any language you can imagine, they have it in there. So St. Johannes Church, Luneburg, definitely worth some time to go in there and check it out. Quite stunning. Okay, so I'm standing here on the Stintmarkt. And if you can look behind me, that's the St. Johannes Church, which we were in earlier. And if you can look at the steeple is really crooked. It's really bent. And so the legend is that the architect, after the church was complete, he was so distraught about how crooked the steeple was, that he wanted to kill himself. So he climbed to the top of the steeple and jumped off. But as he was jumping, a cart came by and he landed in hay, like a hay cart came by and he landed on hay. So he didn't die. He survived, and he got up, and he's like, okay, well, he was really not hurt. So then he thought, well, if the Lord is going to save me from that, then that's a sign that the Lord intended for that steeple to be bent. So he went out and celebrated that night, and he went to a pub and got really drunk. Then he got so drunk, he fell off his chair and broke his neck and died. So that's the story. I doubt if it's true, because it took him like 200 years to build the church. So I don't know if he was the architect who designed it from the beginning, or I guess was working on it at the end. But anyway, that's the story of the crooked steeple here in Luneburg. This is the Luneburg salt sow, or the salt sow. And the legend is that in the Middle Ages, some hunters killed a wild boar, and then after they killed it, it turned white, or they discovered it was white, and they found out that it had salt all over it. And so they traced the boar steps back and found out that it had been in a salt brine, and a natural salt brine. And that's how they discovered the salt underneath Luneburg. And so thus, that's how they got rich, and it provided the city a source of wealth for many centuries. And so if you look around the city, you're going to find symbols of wild boars all over the place. We didn't know why until we came here and read the little placard that says the history and the legend of the Luneburger salt sow. Okay, so it's lunchtime in Luneburg, and we stopped at Melzer Brauhaus Brewery, we would call it, and they have great lunch specials. So I have cordon bleu with French fries, and look at this beautiful salad. And this is like 12 euros, 12.50. And Betty has the lunchtime schnitzel, and that was also about this, roughly the same price. So the prices are great. The beer is really good, and like the brewmeister was like right over there brewing beer. You can actually see him in action, checking on the process of his stuff. But really nice lunch here in Luneburg, and can't wait to dig in. But the fries are great. That's a beautiful salad. I mean, this is a very reasonable price. So if you're in Luneburg at lunchtime, and of course you can eat here for dinner too, and then the dinner prices aren't bad as well. But they really have some excellent lunch specials. So stop by for lunch and grab yourself something to eat, and you'll be ready to finish up the rest of your day of sightseeing here in beautiful Luneburg. All right, look at that cordon bleu. Got a little bit of cheese popping out there. Nice and crispy on the outside. That's quite tasty. Very good. I can highly recommend this place for lunch for sure. So we're here on the riverbank in Luneburg, and I'm going to show you, if you can see just behind me, well, I can't get a good image of it. That's an old medieval crane, and this is really cool. That was built in like 1343, and it still functions. And so ships used to come up the river here, and that thing would load like barrels of salt and barrels of herring out of ships and load stuff onto ships, and it would go from here down to the Elbe River, and then it would go on to the stuff would go on to the North Sea, so in and out from the North Sea here to Luneburg. And it's just fascinating that so much of this town is still original from the 1300s, 1400s, 1500s. Thankfully it saved a lot of damage. It was saved from a lot of damage during World War II, but just fascinating. I'm going to turn the camera around and show you some scenes from here, but it's absolutely spectacular. When you're in northern Germany, you've got to come to Luneburg and visit this city, because if you were in, like, for example, if you're in Hamburg, now this is an easy day trip from Hamburg, and Hamburg is a fantastic city, but you're not going to see a lot of the old medieval charming buildings and that type of stuff that people often associate with Germany. But to get that, it's just a very short train ride from Hamburg here to Luneburg, and you get plenty of that right here. So it's a great day trip if you're in Hamburg, and you've got to get here because it is truly spectacular. And to think about these buildings that are still original, I mean, it's just really, yeah, it's very impressive. So we just went inside the St. Nickolai Church, and this was built from 1404 to 1440, I think. Early 1400s. It didn't take very long for the construction. And this is another church on the European brick Gothic tour. So very beautiful, very significant, and again, not damaged in World War II. But right now, unfortunately, you can't go inside. You can go in just the very beginning of the entryway, and then it's blocked off because they've discovered cracks in the ceiling, and they think that pose a danger. So they're putting nets up on the ceiling to catch anything if it falls, I suppose. And so it's closed until they're guessing around the end of August 2025. But again, it's free to get in, so if you come and you can go in, definitely worth a visit. You can look inside, and it's really pretty in there, but right now it's closed and you can't go in beyond the entryway. Okay, so we're here at the Rathaus in Luneburg, and listen to the beautiful bells, mice and bells. They chime out different tunes, and every tune that they play were composed by someone here from Luneburg. But I want to talk about the building itself. You look at it, and it's nice, has a nice Baroque facade. But if you go inside the building, it is really something to look at. It's a combination of different styles: Baroque, Renaissance, Gothic. Town hall from the Middle Ages, but it's been expanded upon throughout the centuries. You could take a tour, which I think would be really good. I didn't know about those. We didn't know about them until we got here. But as you walk around the building, it gets much more impressive the more you go around it. And it has a very beautiful courtyard. So I think a tour would be really nice. Now, you're supposed to be able to book them online. We were looking at the website, and every time we clicked book a tour here, it took us to lodging. So I don't know, there seems to be some sort of a mess up in the website or online, but you can book the tours also in the tourist information office, which is just right behind that building right there. So I think it'd be something really nice to do when you're here in Luneburg. All right, so this building is called the Pregnant House, or I don't know, I kind of call it the Beer Belly House. But and you'll see several of these. There's several buildings like this in Luneburg, but I guess there was a defect in the building material back in the Middle Ages. They made something too hot and it dried up, and when they used it to build, it soaked up a lot of moisture and thus caused it to expand like that. So you'll see quite a few of these, and to me it looks like they've had too much good beer to drink, so their bellies are sticking out. But it's very, very interesting. People call it the Pregnant House. I call it the Beer Belly House. But you can see the window is definitely canted in, and it's very interesting, unique structure here in Luneburg. Right, so I find this really interesting, but right here, this is the Cannonball. It's been here since the 1st of April, 1813, the Battle of Luneburg, where a coalition of forces from Prussia and Russia defeated Napoleon's French troops here. And I don't know whose side this cannonball came from, but I'm guessing from the French. I don't know, but anyway. Been here since then, and I think that's pretty cool. We are right across from the St. Michael's Church in Luneburg, and right at the Johann Sebastian Platz. So right across from the St. Michael's Church at Johann Sebastian Platz, and you can come find this cannonball. It's been stuck in the wall here for over 200 years now. So yeah, I just can't. I run out of ways to describe this town. Luneburg is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, these buildings are phenomenal. And you think about that, most of them are original. And the cool stuff we've seen, I mean, like a cannonball that's been stuck in a wall for 200 years. The organ that Johann Sebastian Bach composed his first couple of pieces on. And the crane, the old crane built in the 1300s, it's unbelievable. So I cannot stress enough that if you are touring around northern Germany, you have to find a way to get to Luneburg, because this place is unbelievable. I mean, look at this house behind me. Look how cool that is. And it's like we walk and you think, okay, we've probably seen the most of it, and then it almost seems like it keeps getting better. So you've got to really put Luneburg on your list and really make an effort. And I know a lot of people who come to Germany, you know, they don't make it to the north, they stay in Bavaria, but you really need to think about coming up north and visiting some of these places. And I definitely think you'll be happy you did.
Yes, so many of our viewers have told us to come to this town, and now I know why. Thank you so much for the suggestion. This is just an adorable time capsule of a village where it's just kind of like going back in time. It's just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of you have commented on some of our videos, said you got to get to Luneburg, got to get to Luneburg. And so we made a special trip to get here, and very happy we did. It's absolutely stunning. We've had a great day. You know, I feel like we haven't explored it enough, to be honest with you. I feel like maybe one day is probably not enough. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous. And I guess that leaves us something to come back for next time, right? All right, guys. So if you liked this video, we hope you did. Give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment and let us know what your best part is. To me, the best part about the town, honestly, is just strolling around these beautiful cobblestone little streets and looking at the buildings without really a goal in mind, just walking around and looking. And I think that's the best part about today.
Just getting lost in the beautiful city.
Yeah, that's right. Just getting lost and walking around. And I think that's the best part. So, but leave us a comment. Let us know. Have you been here? What do you think about it? And let us know where you think we need to go next. And we really appreciate your support. If you're not a subscriber, if you like this content, please consider subscribing to our channel. And I guess we'll see you next time. Bye.